No time to waste. I have a Knicks game to watch. I gotta catch that second half. What's up? PowerPoint incoming. Oh, you fucking know it. Come on, Boston. Mods, get him. Mods. L. Michelle, thank you for the 15 months. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, I recorded an exit interview with one Amonfi. Spoiler, if you didn't watch the Genius game. I'm not worried about that, frankly. But I thought it was a really, really good interview. So I'll post that in the chat if you want to check it out. Really nice guy. I think my favorite exit interview we've done so far. Just because, like, there was the most questions to ask him, frankly. But it was fun. I'm recording some more Genius stuff tomorrow and Sunday, so. But how are you guys? How are you? No Big Brother news. I'm telling you, we kind of went through this phase of, like, we got a ton of Big Brother news, and then we're going to be in a drought for a long time. The only thing that might be announced is, like, the teases at the theme, teases at the house, maybe who's on this illustrious panel, I suppose. So, you know, we're kind of, it's like Big Brother season's back, but it's not. You know, it's a weird moment. Survivor 50 news soon. Yeah, I mean, once they all go out to Fiji, I assume it's in Fiji. Once they all go out, I think that's when the spoiled casts are going to start getting accurate. Which is good. Until then, it's all just bullshit. A Faye, thank you for the prime. El Michelle, thanks for the prime. How are you guys? We're getting this sub number back to something respectable. I'm very proud of it. We've been streaming consistently 4 out of 5 days this week. That's pretty good. I'll try to stream one of these 2 days in the weekend. I'm going on a bit of a trip. Just a quick one. Leaving Monday, getting back maybe Thursday. So that'll be fun. Memphis got arrested. Is that right? What happened? Was he in contention for this list? Perhaps. Now he's a quadruple threat. Quinn is live right now. Hey. It's time to pick a side, y'all. For tax evasion? Oh, come on. He's just sticking it to the man. Come on. That's fucked up. He got arrested in Broward County. It's crazy. Those cops don't do anything. It's giving Superman curl. I am getting all curly. I'm also fucking ripped. You guys don't understand. Whoever's going on the cruise, you're lucky as hell. Also, I tanned. This is crazy. America self-tanned me, and I'm like tan as shit. Quinn is always live at the same time as Cory. Hey, it was my time slot first. Back in the day, Quinn used to reserve this time slot in his schedule to watch Cory's stream. Now he thinks he's hot shit. What, you made the jury? Me too, dude. Not the self-tanner, yeah. I was getting paranoid. Heisem was under us. Secret trip this week for the BB interview. I hate you guys so much. I remember, like, I was so depressed and, like, mentally I was doing so bad. And I was in this hotel room in fucking Valdosta, Georgia. And the entire chat's like, you're an amazing race sequester. And I was this close. Crashing out. So you go, he's in sequester. Yeah, they let him stream. Why not? Flying to LA for unlocked rehearsals. Unlocked, yeah. The more I think about that Friday episode, the more I'm worried about it. But, hey, look, it's up to them. It hasn't been produced yet, so it's all in their power to make it good. I just think the nature of having the Sunday episodes have HOH and noms is like, what the fuck? Like, Friday's just going to be a recap of the previous 2 weeks. Like, it's pretty brutal. When exactly is the cruise? Was it June 10th? It's like a week and a half through June. Yeah, 9th through the 13th. That was the forced sponsor stream. Yeah, we watched the Celtics beat the shit out of the Lakers. No, Dojo. I'm not allowed to, but you could do some research. It's not hard to find out. The Kenny cardboard cutout has as much gameplay as real Kenny did. It's not. I don't have a Kenny cardboard cutout, guys. You're not the first one to make this mistake, Keegan. It's not Kenny. In a way, he has almost as tragic a story as Kenny. But why would I have a cardboard cutout of Kenny, guys? I understand they both wear the same color shirt. Guys. Who would ever sell Kenny cutouts? Look, if someone's selling them, someone will buy them, but... A notorious swinger? In a way, yeah. I mean, he actually... I guess he had one romantic relationship all throughout Lost. Yeah. Isn't a Kenny fan club stream? Nah, that's over at twitch.tv/everynow and Is America watching the Knicks? Yeah. I'm going to watch the second half with her. I really thought that was Kenny. No. I'm telling you, it's not just you. I've heard this one before. The Pistons should be playing tonight. You gotta, for your own mental health, you have to move forward. All right, let's just do this presentation. You know what? This one's for the diehards, the people who like my random ass lists. Okay. Rewatch tonight? Yeah, we haven't done it yet, but it'll be posted. Okay. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about triple threats, we mean 3 categories. Those 3 categories being strategic, social, and we call it physical, but really it's just comps. If you win 9 quizzes versus winning 9, racing competitions, doesn't matter to me. Comps are comps. The powers are the same. So, that's really what we're evaluating. Players who, in all 3 categories, are quite strong and obviously excel in certain categories. Jim Pierre, it's been a minute. Thank you for the 17 months. How are you doing? How about Game 7? Mr. Nuggets are done. You give the experience edge to the Nuggets. I'm kind of worried if I'm the Thunder. Now, I think what's very interesting about a list like this is you forget just how good some of these legends of the games were at competitions. They all have pretty good records. And part of that, if you get deep into the game a few times, comps get much easier to win. You're competing against much lesser competition, just numerically. Also, you're playing in every veto competition. The Final 3 HOH is essentially, the later you get in the game, the better your comp numbers are going to look. So, I have 5 honorable mentions and then a top 10. Okay? 5 honorable mentions and then a top 10. I will say the first person off the list, there's 2 people who are not on this list at all, who I very, very heavily considered. Very heavily considered. Social, strategic, physical. Yeah, physical is just a catch-all word for competitions. The first person I want to talk about is Jag Baines. He's insanely great physically. He's competent socially. Strategically, I think is where most people would have their problems with him. I just didn't think it was in the spirit of the list to have Jag on it. He's okay at everything, but really the comps is his thing, and that kind of masks the weaknesses in those other 2 categories. I don't think it fit the spirit of this list. He's not a triple threat. He's competent in 2 areas and then lights out amazing in the other. So Jag does not make this list. I know you guys are very happy about that. And the other person who I think is going to be a very controversial exclusion is, in my opinion, Vanessa, who is excellent, strategically one of the best ever, competitions-wise, very underrated, a super strong competitor. I think socially, she's kind of weird. What makes Vanessa such an amazing player is her strategic game often covers up a lot of the social weaknesses, if that makes sense. So if we're evaluating Vanessa as a player, you could almost say, well, the wishy-washy social game isn't as big of a deal because the strategic game accounts for that, and that's what is her defining quality characteristic. But for this list, I just think she doesn't have all three categories locked up. But she had social influence? Yes. Mostly because of her strategic game. She's an anomaly. It's very rare that you get a player who's so dominant strategically and so forceful and so active that they don't need to have the big social presence in order to kind of dictate what a house does. Is BB Can on there? No. I'm just too uneducated on a lot of BB Can to start including, like, Kevin Martin or something, you know? So that's the two people who are right on the cusp of this list, not even an honorable mention, Vanessa and Jag. Jag is just too physical, and Vanessa, I don't think, hits that social bar. I hear you, but he also got lucky that there was a comp to save him there, and then he saved himself like 6 other times with comps, so, you know. Okay. First of all, before we dive into the honorable mentions, I want you guys to just say, like, names that pop in your mind when it comes to triple threats. Who's, like, the first name that you're like, oh, they got to be on the list? Because I think these are pretty... I don't think is a very controversial list. There is, okay, there is one honorable mention that I meant to add before stream. Should I just do it now? Do you guys want to just watch me for a second while I add another honorable mention? I'll do it. I don't mind. It'll take me 5 seconds. Because I think this person is absolutely deserving of being an honorable mention. I just have to do some research. He's adding Tyler. Shut up. I wouldn't... That would not be an oversight for me. I'm a big Tyler guy. Okay. And then I just have to look at their stats. Yeah, okay. Got it. All right, perfect. Okay. So we go to the first honorable mention. The honorable mentions are not ordered, but I will say who's like the first off the list. First off, I have Jackson Mickey, who like strategically was kind of all over the place, but he had a lot of really impressive strategic moments, particularly at the final 5, but just in general, played the middle pretty well. His comp record is what it is. He's a certified new era comp beast. Socially is his problem. You can't get to the final 2 and then have half the jury saying you're sexist and treated other house guests poorly. So that's why he's not on the list. But he's too good physically. Strategically, he's a lot better than most. And then socially, he's like okay with his people. But again, like if you're that off-putting to that amount of your cast, I think that invalidates you for this list. He's not on the list. He's an honorable mention, okay? Maybe a dishonorable mention, but I do think like he's worth a mention. I think strategically he's above average. I think Big Brother fans love using like below average, above average, when the truth is like y'all always overestimate what the average is. The average is so much lower than you think. How is he an honorable mention and Vanessa isn't? Basically, I just think his compatibility is like really like he's not as bad in any of the categories. I could see. I get what you're saying. I don't think it's a crazy thing, but they're both not on the list. I don't want you to get too hung up on that. So, and he got to the end with his showmance, which kind of just a comp off, but okay. Next honorable mention is the one I just added. I think Michael's thing is like he's probably the best competitor in Big Brother history, at least one time player. Strategically and socially, he's very solid. So he is the definition of a triple threat. He's just not extreme enough in the social or strategic game to get on the list for me. That's my Michael take. Like, he was an active strategic player. He knows the game. Socially, people liked Michael. He was not really good at threat management, but it's hard when you win 9 competitions and get 6th. Like, he didn't even get to go on the end game run that most people juice up their stats with. I think that's what's really, really impressive with Michael. Is like, when you look at Jags comp wins, he's got 10. That's their record in one season. It's very impressive. But he did win the final 5 veto, the final 4 veto, and the final 3 HOH. Right? Like, you kind of stack up your wins at the end. And not to mention, like, that's kind of how these things work. Like, Chelsea and MJ stacked up their wins towards the end. He left before that stage of the game. So I think Michael is the epitome of a triple threat, just not great enough strategically or socially, I think, to justify it. Thank you, Balloon Horses. Jag also won the Hearts of America, the USA, that is. I don't know if that's true. I think Jag is liked amongst the audience and casuals, but I don't think it's anything crazy. I looked on Facebook. They want Cameron to host Unlocked, not Jag. And Michael did have a higher level of competition, which is important. All right, next honorable mention. Frankie Grande. He had 5 HOH wins, really. He only got to actually do 3 of them. But, also throw in 3 vetoes. It was a very long season with a lot of competition, so he definitely had his chances. This doesn't even mention the Battle of the Blocks that he was involved with. Kind of similar to Michael. I think he is a stronger player strategically, at the very least. Socially, I think they're very similar. I would say Frankie might have a slight edge. Michael definitely has the comp edge, so I think they're very, very comparable. But he was a great competitor. I mean, again, he goes out in 5th, and he has 3 HOHs, 3 vetoes, some Battle of the Blocks. There's really very little to criticize Frankie's game big picture. It was just kind of like too loyal to Derek because of Team America, and he got screwed by the replay, or the rewind, rather. I don't think there's much controversial here. Again, similar to Michael, he's just not cracked out enough in the strategic or social category to justify him being placed here. All right. Next honorable mention, I have Danny Briones. Good placements, obviously. 5 HOHs and 5 vetoes. The numbers are staggering. Keep in mind, she made 3 pretty deep runs. All 5 of her vetoes were in Big Brother 8, which isn't like a mark against her, but 5 vetoes spread across 3 jury runs is very different from Michael's 6 vetoes in 1 run to 6th place. She is a very active strategic player, at least after Big Brother 8. Socially, she has her shortcomings, but I think she is a very capable player. She tends to make enemies, I think, more than, you would want a player of this caliber to, but it happens. Just generally speaking, she's a very, very solid player in all 3 categories. I think her comp B status is maybe overstated just a tad, but the stats are still impressive. 5 vetoes in 1 season is wild. And then she's pretty consistently winning HOHs across the seasons. I think Danny is one of the lower people on this list, though. I think of all the honorable mentions, I think she'd be the... her or Mickey is like the furthest from actually making the list. And I think we have one more honorable mention, or maybe we're going to number 10. Let's see. Yeah, I got Drew. It's kind of a knowledge gap for me. I just don't know enough about Drew. Basically, he's a winner. Strategically, he made competent decisions. He cut Diane when he had to. Socially, he was well integrated the entire season, the last surviving member of the Horsemen, and he had his relationship with Cowboy all season. Like, he's a perfect fit for this archetype, for this triple threat. I just don't think strategically or socially he's where he needs to be to really put himself in this mix. He should be top 10. You'd be surprised by how many people, in my opinion, are clearly top 10. So Drew, I think, is the first name off this list. If I watch BB5 tomorrow, maybe I'll be higher on him. But as for now, all I really have is very big picture game stuff and his stats. So just transparent. I'm not the Drew Daniel expert. You should ask Cowboy to teach you about BB5 on the cruise. Maybe. I'm sure he'd love to talk about it. All right. My favorite part of the stream is when you guys start guessing names. Who do you guys think I've got at number 10? I think once we get to like the top 2 or 3, it'll become obvious. But I think before that, it's going to be a total, crapshoot. Good luck guessing. BB5 should be the next rewatch. I know a lot of people like it. Hey Bub says Taylor. Platt says Mackenzie. Mike says Ian. Xavier, Steve, Hayden, Jerry, Casey. Okay, well, at number 10, I have... Oh, another honorable mention. Sorry, Derek Lavasser. He's socially, strategically, he's almost perfect. And then comps-wise, he got 3 HOHs. Well, I don't think he deserves to be on the list. He's not good enough at comps, but he's pretty good. Sorry. Whoops. See, in my head, I had 5 honorable mentions, but since I added Michael, there's a 6th. But, yeah, Derek is like a double threat to the max, and then he's pretty solid at comps, but I think he's just lacking in that department. Number 10, I have Nicole Franzel. 6 HOHs, 3 vetoes, a 7th place winner, and 3rd. She's made the jury all 3 times, made it to finale night twice. She, of course, is a winner. So the deal with Nicole is like her resume is that of a top 3 player of all time, top 4 player of all time. Then you actually evaluate her skill set, and it's a little bit more ambiguous. I'm not considering reindeer games. I'm not doing it. It's a totally fucking different ballgame. If you want to, that's fine. I'm just not doing it, so that would have helped her case. The 6 HOHs is like impressive, but it's across 3 deep runs, so she gets 2 a season. 3 vetoes across 3 seasons, again, isn't that impressive. But she's consistently, like, in the mix in competition. She is no slouch. She is capable of winning a lot of different comps. She's won some wall comps. She's won some Battle of the Blocks. She's won quizzes. She's won crapshoots. She's just a solid competitor, right? Strategically, I think she has a really good sense for the game. I think this is probably her strongest point. She generally knows how to maneuver, knows who she needs to target, what to do with her HOHs when she wins them. I think the biggest criticism is her social game. She definitely turns a lot of people off, but she's quite skilled at getting rid of those people early and being left with the people who like her. As made obvious by her basically outlasting her ops every single season she's on, except I guess 16, but it's hard to even think too much about Nicole's first game. But socially, not the strongest player, but obviously a good player. Strategically, she's got it all there. Not like the most creative and inventive and, is able to form wild plans to save herself from a shitty situation. We've never really seen her play from crazy adversity. There was a stage in BB18 where she was kind of on the bottom with Paulie and Cory, but it didn't take too much to get out of there. She's like a triple threat where she's good physically, not great, good socially, not great, and then pretty great strategically. And it's pretty good. There was a post on Reddit talking about how, like, is it time for us to consider Nicole as one of the best Big Brother players of all time? And I think it's silly not to. I don't know, that was still a debate. Like, I would not take anyone super seriously if they said she was outside of their top 10. For me, I think it's like number 7. For me, probably. Like 7, 6, somewhere like that. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Nicole. I think she's a very, very strong player. Top 3 women of all time. I think she's probably the best woman to play Big Brother. I mean, it's her, Chelsea. And generally, like, I'm just going to give Nicole the nod because of the body of work. Chelsea's game is better than anything that Nicole's done, but I have a lot of respect for the consistency of Nicole's game. Chelsea shows up and makes it a mid-jury run. Probably pick Chelsea over her, but I want to show respect to Nicole. All right, predictions for number 9. What do you guys got? Dutter says Frank. Mike says Paul. Arun says Steve. Casey. The next 2 players are very similar to each other, is my hint. And at number 9, I have Hayden Moss. Hayden Moss is Drew Daniel, but in my opinion, better socially by quite a bit. Better strategically by quite a bit. Part of it is biased by Survivor, not in the sense of like I'm considering his challenge accomplishments or anything, but obviously we know he has a very strong strategic mind, which it gets a little bit tough because like I obviously wasn't around to watch the BB12 feeds, but he was a very active part of the brigade. He was the person with the best jury management within the brigade. He wins against basically everybody. He makes a end game where he basically gets to the end no matter what because they always felt like they had to cut Enzo. It's a close vote with Lane at the end, but it was kind of a fake close vote. He's a certified comp beast. Just keep in mind, in these earlier seasons, there's less competitions in general. I think BB12 was like a 13-person cast or something. So his 4 HOHs, like, he kind of won every chance he could, give or take like 1 or 2 weeks. Just one veto is a little bit disappointing. Brendan was kind of dominating in that department. But 4 HOHs, season 12 is very impressive. And, you get a guy like this, and he happens to be good strategically and socially. It's just kind of hard to do much about it. And I really don't, if Hayden comes back tomorrow, he probably does very well again. He's just naturally pretty well suited to these social strategy games. I don't think there's exactly like a big counter argument to this point. He was on a season with great competitors too. I mean, Lane was no pushover. He wasn't great. Brittany's not really a pushover, but like Rachel and Brendan are very strong competitors. Matt Hoffman's good at the things he's good at. Enzo was pretty terrible, but mostly Brendan was someone he was competing against all the time, and he performed quite well. No, I don't think Lane was a bad player. I think just as a competitor, he wasn't at this caliber, of course. Kristen. All right. Okay, so here's my thought. I'm going to give you guys a hint for my number 8. Number 8, I view as a very similar player to Hayden Moss. Who do you guys think I'm talking about? And I think this is controversial. Honestly, in my opinion, I think Hayden might be better than this person, but I'm interested in your thoughts. We'll do a poll after. Some of you got it. At number 8, I have Xavier Prather. Prather? I think it's Prather. He's a winner. 3 HOHs and 3 vetoes is very impressive. It's important. It's a very, very competitive cast physically. I mean, you're competing, forget about like Travis, but you're competing against Christian, who's a very strong competitor. Kyland is there the entire season, and he's a great competitor. Derek X is a great competitor. These are really good comp wins. Granted, he got a lot of them towards the end, but, it's price of doing business. What are you going to do? Not going to punish him for that. Strategically, not a ton to write home about. He's a smart guy. He did what was best for his game. When things fell into his lap, he took them and ran with them. There were certain advantages he was kind of just gifted, like Kyland inexplicably being like, I'm just going to take Xavier to the end. It's like, why? I don't know. Derek being so bad that it makes Ozzo want to take X to the end. Just the way the competition shook out post the final 7. A lot of things went his way, but he put him, of the players in the cookout, he was the most complete player when you factor in competitions. There's something to be said about not fumbling the bag. Exactly. So strategically, I think is probably his weakest point, which I think is exactly why X is on this list, because he's pretty solid strategically. Socially, not much to criticize. He's just a really nice guy. Met him in person. He's so extroverted, which was socially, I think the complaint was he was a bit boring in the house. Like, he knows how to turn it on. He's a very chill presence as well when he needs to be. And then physically, 6 comp wins, just good. He won the most comps of anyone that season. And again, it was a very competitive season. So it's hard to have much to criticize with X. I think when you talk about him versus Hayden, I just think I feel more comfortable talking about X's game than Hayden's when it comes to like the maneuvering through BB12, when it comes to the members of the brigade. It's hard for me to really identify like what was Hayden, what was Lane, what was Enzo, what was Matt, right? It's just a little bit more ambiguous. X, Tiffany was the strategic forefront of it, and I think X was clearly the second person behind Tiffany in that department, and he was a much better competitor. So if you want to swap these two, I'm perfectly fine with that. I have no problem. But I think it's pretty negligible. Hayden as Survivor to maybe make himself stand out more. I didn't, consider it in the ranking. It's just more context for Hayden's strategic mind. Okay, number 7. Any predictions? Derek F. did make the cookout. Oh, I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Let me add him to the list. I hear you, Dojo Master. I think part of Big Brother, though, is like dealing with the advantages you're given. I think X did a really good job. Casey, Tyler. Casey. Well, at number 7, I have Chelsea. Chelsea's great. I mean, strategically, she's very, very strong. She's extremely wishy-washy. She's very messy strategically, but at the end of the day, she usually arrives at the right conclusion. Just a reminder of Chelsea's game. Like, she flips the vote on Tucker, which I think was genius move, her best move of the season, in my opinion. Because, once Tucker leaves, T-Core, Chemo, and Rubina become, like, basically Chelsea people, which was a huge deal, obviously, especially as we approach the end game. She's the one who mostly flips on Joseph, but that was a very last-minute, messy. She didn't even really get to communicate with MJ. So that was kind of poorly done. And then she wins HOH, targets Quinn, which is the exact right target. But then she's campaigning to save Quinn because she's going back and forth. Then final 8, T-Core's on the block, and she tries to use her social capital to save her and fails. The point is, like, strategically, she's very messy, but she gets the job done. And compared to 90% of Big Brother players, very, very strong strategically. Socially is another place where it's like, she's really good sometimes, but also she's really bad at certain things. Like the whole Cam MJ dynamic was just weird for a while, and it was needless, and it kind of alienated both of them. And I think she's in some ways lucky to have retained both those relationships. And you also have to give her credit for like locking in MJ, because that was the game winning move essentially. The trio was kind of obsessed with her, but again, like, I don't know exactly why. It's probably just you'd get it if you were in that house, but it didn't feel like there was a ton of active social work. So she was like really good socially, and she was always one of the most connected people in the house. But it's kind of like you don't see it as obviously as you would with like someone like Suri. And I think Suri and Chelsea are like pretty similar players if Suri was much better at comps, frankly. I think that's actually like kind of a good comparison. And Suri was, a lot more chaotic, I think. And then competitions-wise, 4 HOHs is a pretty wild number, and she got very close to winning a 5th. But she didn't win any vetoes. She kind of got rolled by Tucker and then MJ. And a lot of her HOHs were quizzes, which, no shade, they count. But I just would doubt, I think, her ability in a future season to like steamroll the comps. She's always going to be a capable competitor. She's always going to do well. But I don't think she would beat most people on this list in an average competition. So it sounds like a lot of negative for Chelsea, but in all 3 categories, she's good, arguably to great. I just think she's more likely good in all these areas than great. And she doesn't have any clear flaws, which I think is that's rare on Big Brother players. People usually suck. And she played D1 basketball. She's good. It's just I don't think it was reflected necessarily in the comp she won or lost. So there we have it. Chelsea, the most recent winner of Big Brother, 7th place on the list. Pretty good stuff. Do you guys have a prediction for Numera 6? She played college basketball, not D1. Gotcha. I think Cam played D1. Football. Sticking with Tyler. Dan. Sharon, BB9. Cam's Penn State. Gotcha. You've retired from predicting. Oh, come on, Allie. Get back in the game. Give me one more prediction. If you get it, it's going to all be worth it. Tyler is number 1. Okay, we'll see. At number 6, I have Casey Clark. I think Casey is low-key like a top 3-4 competitor in Big Brother history. I mean, socially, I don't think there's literally anything to criticize. She's not as good as like a Tyler in terms of like making these deep social bonds that will make people do insane things, but everyone fucking liked her. Everyone was happy to vote for her, to give her the money. Everyone respected her. She has no enemies. She goes on the challenge and continues to have no enemies because she just plays this super level social game. And I don't think there's many Big Brother players who are stronger in that department. Strategically, she is definitely on like the lower echelons of this list, but she's fine. Like, she's very competent. She understands the game, and she is not self-destructive. She does what advances her own self-interest. She got Tyler to be loyal to her against his own self-interests. Like, strategically, she's fine. She's not a star. She's not a genius, but she's good. She's very competent in 20, and I think in the challenge we see she's a solid player. And physically, I think she's actually fucking incredible because she's competing in every one of these HOHs, every one of these vetoes against Tyler, against Angela, against Brett, against Fessy while he was there. Haley was no slouch. Bailey was no slouch. Like, there's just a lot of good competitors, and of course we see her on the challenge, you know. She's pretty good there too. So while Casey's not like the most dazzlingly impressive and exciting pick, she just is like the epitome of a triple threat. Strategically, she's good. Socially, she's incredible. Physically, she's one of the best ever. Most unsatisfying winner in the whole series for me. Nothing against her game, just absolute zeros TV personality. That's the criticism. Fortunately, it's not a quadruple threat, with that fourth thing being, you know, how good of TV you are. So, I just don't think there's anything to criticize with Casey. She's just so good. Watchability. Okay, we're top 5, baby. Wow, a 5. Any predictions for number 5? Is it Heisem? Does he sneak into the list? I see Paul and Tyler. Those names have been coming up quite a bit. Wow, another 5. At number 5, I have Andy Herron. Which kind of surprised me. But he has 5 comp wins. He has 3 HOHs and 2 vetoes. It's pretty fucking good. Am I crazy? That's pretty good. 3 HOHs, 2 vetoes. BB15 wasn't like the most inflated season in terms of cast. It was a big cast, but it wasn't like there was a couple of battle backs. There was probably a lot of comps that season. But 3 HOHs, 2 vetoes is solid. It's a season with a good amount of good competitors. Amanda was no joke. McCrae was no joke. Aaron was, of course, good at these comps. Helen won a few. And then the real thing with Andy is, like, strategically and socially, you could argue he's the best player of all time. I wouldn't. Strategically, I wouldn't put him there, but he's, like, at the lowest top 4, top 3. Socially, I'm very open to saying he's the best social player of all time. Again, if you disagree, he's probably number 2 or maybe number 3. Andy's pretty fucking good. Like, strategically and socially, he's one of the best players of all time. And then comp-wise, he just has results. He did well enough. Do you count part 1 and 3 of HOH as 1 or 2 comps? I think I'm only counting it as 1. I just kind of quickly looked up the stats on the wiki, so maybe it depends on how they do it. But there's really just, like, Andy's... You don't think of him as a triple threat because he's so good strategically and socially, but the comp wins were there. I think Andy played the best game of Big Brother ever, but not sure if he's the best player overall. I think that's a fair take. I think it's between him and Derek for the best game ever, but 15 just has a weird quality to it where, like, because of the nature of the house, it's hard to, like, give full credit for anyone's gameplay because there's so much at play there. And while Andy wasn't Amanda or Aaron, like, there's a lot to criticize. So it's like if it's a tiebreaker, I'll pick Derek, you know? I'll pick Derek up, maybe even Dan season 10, but probably not. He managed his threat level very well. He got to the end with someone he could obviously beat. He got to the final 3 with 2 people he could obviously beat. So, how do you think he would do it in All-Star season? I think he would do quite well as long as he wasn't alienated. He talks a lot of shit, so, or like, on Twitter and stuff. So, I think he would do quite well. I think he would be a smaller threat than he should be based on his pedigree. But that'll never happen. Ever. That is a non-starter, I believe. Because it's not just that 15 is like an icky season, because I think they just brought back someone from BB15, right? Or I guess not. They brought, theoretically, hypothetically, Kat from 21 has been on another show, which is like BB15 light. And I guess Nicole came back on 22. But, yeah, I don't have much else to say about Andy. He's pretty good at Big Brother. He's pretty good. Any predictions for number 4? I'm trying to remember my 4 players left. I know 3 of them. The 4th one might even be a surprise to me. How exciting. Coming in at number 4, I've got Tyler Crispin. He's a runner-up in BB20, one of the best losing games in Big Brother history, and then a weird run to 6th place in BB22. 5 HOHs, 5 vetoes. I think his comp numbers are very, very impressive, considering, again, the quality of competition he's going against. Of course, he's competing against Casey all throughout BB20 in every competition, basically, not to mention Angela and Brett and Fessy and Haley and everyone we've already mentioned. And then in 22... there's a lot of people on that cast. Cody is there. Nicole is there. You'd think Cody would be on this list somewhere. Nicole obviously was. Memphis is no slouch. David's winning a comp or 2. And what wasn't the most stat cast? Ian was a comp beast, for what it's worth, on 14. But 5 HOHs, 5 vetoes. Those are just solid numbers. The nature of HOH comps and veto comps are usually quite different as well, so it's good that you're able to be so successful in both. I'll be honest, Shinks, I have no idea who I have in the top 3 outside of... Oh, now I do. Okay. Is there any criticism, any pushback towards Tyler? He's just good. I think the criticism and the reason why he's not higher up, it's like a weird thing. Like, strategically, he's one of the best ever, but he also just lacks a killer instinct quite a bit, and it happened 2 seasons in a row, which I think at a certain point, like, it's not bad luck, it's a trend, right? Like, he runs out of gas, and then he doesn't necessarily self-sabotage, but in 22, he did self-sabotage, and then in 20, he just kind of took his foot off the gas and chose the wrong final 2. And Casey won a lot of comps. So, like, I think that I would put in the strategic department, right? Like, he just kind of gasses out sometimes. And then in the social department, he's excellent. In BB22, he basically got to the end on his social game, but he did kind of alienate some jury members in 20. Like, he wasn't the best at jury management. He wasn't always having people leave the house in the right mental state. I think his bad jury management is overstated, but it's not ideal, right? Like, it is a mark against him compared to a lot of other people on this list who, won jury votes quite convincingly. Tyler wanted to quit. It's a problem, right? And even in 20, like, he didn't ever talk about quitting, but he was, his gameplay slowed down quite a bit. And if he played a 3rd time, I think he'd do very well again. My only concern would be that killer instinct. All right. The top 3, I think, is quite clear to me. For me, number 3 is distantly number 3. I think the top 2 are the top 2. Does anybody have a guess for number 3? Y'all are right on the nose. I have a Dan Giesling as the first person on the podium, 3rd place. He, doesn't need an introduction. He won BB10, one of the best losing games ever in BB14, losing to Ian. He's got 4 HOHs across the 2 seasons, 3 vetoes. look, comp-wise is his weakest part, and he's very competent comp-wise. I think what's important to note with Dan is he throws a tremendous amount of competitions. A ton of comps he throws them, which, like you could hold that against him in terms of like if you're evaluating him as a competitor, like you can't win any comps that you throw. But I do think when he needs it, he wins pretty reliably. Like he won right after the funeral. He's winning a lot of late comps in BB10 that are very fucking important to whittle down into his ideal endgame. So I think his stats are somewhat deflated by him throwing so many. Like he actually, wins when he wants to quite often. Strategically, he's the best player of all time, I think. I hesitate to... I'd be willing to hear counter arguments. I just disagree with them. For me, he's number one. He's very good from playing from the top, and he's even better playing from the bottom, and playing from the bottom is fucking impossible. The two other players who we're going to talk about, one of them played from the bottom a bit and was okay, and the other never had to do it. Andy never really had to do it. Casey never really had to do it. Tyler never really had to do it. So the fact that Dan sometimes gets himself in bad positions, you're allowed to see kind of the range. He has a lot of range as a strategist. And then socially, very, very underrated. His strategic bullshit doesn't work if he doesn't have like these unbreakable social relationships with people like Danielle, people like Keisha, people like Rennie, people like Memphis. Like, he just had like a social hold on a lot of these people, even Gen City. Like, he's pretty good. I don't think Dr. Will is on Dan's level strategically at all. I think socially you could say Dr. Will is better. I think I'd agree with that, actually. But strategically, no way. Much better socially and strategically than Paul. I 100% agree. But there's a third piece. So, I don't think there's much more to say about Dan. He's the GOAT. The only reason he's not number one is his competition stats are just not quite where they need to be. But still pretty good. Number 2. I think people know where this list is going. At number 2, we've got the second place merchant, Paul. 2-time runner-up, 2 times lost by a single vote. The stats are fucking insane. 2 ridiculous comp B seasons. 2 7 comp win seasons. I don't know if it's evenly split like that, but 6 HOHs, 8 vetoes is fucking insane. I think because Paul lost 2 jury votes, people look at them as having a much worse social game than they did. Their social game on BB19 was one of the most impressive things that I have ever seen. They alienated a ton of people, and that's a huge mark against their game. Totally. But acting like the social game is that disastrous when they get 4 jury votes twice, I think is quite impressive, in my opinion. A lot of the strategic and social credit you give to Paul is BB19. 18, I think, they got to showcase their comp ability, and obviously they were learning as they went, but BB19 is, the masterpiece. Strategically, they played the Onion Alliance, the big, heliocentric power structure, as well as I've seen anybody play it ever. The only person who I think is close is Derek, but in some ways I think Derek had an easier ride just by the nature of all the men were winning all the comps. Paul on BB19 was the only vet and had a lot of advantages, but it's actually kind of interesting weighing those 2 games against each other. I'd have to think about it. Paul, I think the cult of Paul in BB19 is probably the strongest cult in Big Brother history. Even Derek's alliance didn't revere Derek the same way as Paul. I'm trying to think who else is even in that category, like Cappy. That's, it's its own thing. No, I hear you using traders. I mean, there's a lot to criticize about BB19. I just think when you have Paul, who, if you want to make the case that Paul is the best competitor in Big Brother history based on resume, I think it's almost impossible to disagree. 18 had very strong competitors as well. No slouches. Nicole's good. James was good at competitions. Natalie's not a pushover. Victor is Victor. Frank was there for a while. Cory, of course. I mean, Cory won a shit ton of stuff. So those comp wins are very impressive. 19 is definitely a weaker field. Once they get rid of Jess and Cody, it kind of becomes, Christmas's leg is broken and Kevin's there and Josh isn't a great competitor, even though he wins a few things. Whistlenut and Alex are okay, but not ridiculous. Paulie was probably the best competitor on 18, just in a vacuum, outside of Paul maybe. But when you have the most comp wins in Big Brother history, at least for a two-time player, most comp wins in Big Brother history, one of the most dominant strategic games of all time, and the social ability to form a cult, I think Paul deserves to be ranked over Dan in the triple threat ranking. You know what I mean? Paul's a 10 out of 10 comps, and then I think like 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Dan's a 10 out of 10 strategically, 10 out of 10 socially, and then comps is like a 7. You know what I mean? Like, Dan's good, but Dan is not in the same galaxy as Paul comp-wise. Or in the same galaxy as the, first place house guest, who everyone knows who that is, but. Paul's like a 7 out of 10 strategically, but yes, on comps. I would go a little bit higher, but I think that's probably their weakest component. Which leads us to number 1. There's not going to be much of a drum roll or suspense. It's Cody Calafiore. I mean, what the fuck? Runner-up, winner, 7 HOHs, 7 vetoes. I don't know. Like, the worst part of Cody's game is his strategic game. That is definitely his weakest attribute. And he got to the end of BB22 without ever being nominated and then won unanimously. Everyone was taking him to the end in the final 3 as well. I just don't. Andy was number 5, Kiesling. There's like strategically, he made one of the worst moves ever in taking Derek to the final 2, and still, what are you gonna do? Played twice, got to the end twice, dominated the game twice. The first time he was outplayed by a stronger strategic player in Derek. BB22, in my opinion, is the strongest cast in Big Brother history, and he totally dominated the season. It was a fucking steamroll. He had a million different paths to the end. He won a ton of competitions. He didn't even need to win all of them. There was a somewhat concerning spot midway through the season where Tyler seemed to be gaining some control and winning over Enzo and all this, and then Tyler kind of spiraled, and Cody regained control of the game and never let it go. 7 HOHs, 7 vetoes across 2 seasons. He does have the privilege of playing in 2 very long seasons with a lot of house guests and some battlebacks and, all of that. He gets to the end both times. But even with all that context, the comp wins are still insanely impressive. In my opinion, Cody is the best competitor in Big Brother history. I think Paul is right there, but I just think Cody played against stronger competition. A reminder, in BB16, you're going against Devin, who's really good, Donnie, who's solid, Caleb, who's really good, Frankie, who almost made this list, Derek, who almost made this list, Nicole, who made this list. Then you go to 22. You're playing against Danny, who almost made this list. You're playing against Tyler, who was number 4. You're playing against Nicole, who's like just everybody. Literally everybody. Zach was no slouch. Like, he's playing against the strongest competition, and he's cranking out these numbers. Memphis, of course. Memphis was very close to making this list, yeah. And I think nowadays he'd win even more vetoes with the way vetoes have been. I mean, in 22 they were basically the same as they are now, but I think he could replicate these results every season he goes on. I think Cody is the epitome of a triple threat. I don't think he has any clear weaknesses. The full list, I'll run through it quickly. Honorable mentions: Jackson, Michael, Frankie, Danny, Drew, and Derek. Nicole takes 10, Hayden 9, X 8, Chelsea 7, Casey 6, Andy 5, Tyler 4, Dan 3, Paul 2, and Cody 1. In my opinion, the way I view Big Brother, I think Dan is the GOAT, and for me, Cody is number 2. It's always been my perspective. The only answers I would accept to that question are Dan and Cody. I don't think there's much of a case for Derek and Andy. It's just they've played only one time. It's a small sample size sport, Big Brother. And some of these people with larger sample sizes, I feel like I want to reward those players. And I totally get the idea of like Derek and Cody played head to head and Derek kicked Cody's ass. Like, is the gap between Derek and Cody on their BB16 games, is that gap big enough for Cody's perfect game on a second All-Star season and winning unanimously to not catch him up? And if you think the gap is that big on 16 that a perfect winning game on an All-Star season doesn't, accommodate for that, fair play to you. I disagree. And Dr. Will, yeah, I understand, Giesling. You're always going to advocate for Will, but I think Will is just harder to evaluate because of Big Brother 2. In terms of just being the GOAT. On this list, Will's not even in contention. The physical game is just not there. If you played a season with Cody, would you fall in line or target him first? It's situational. I mean, he's going to win a lot of comps, so you got to make sure he thinks you're on his side until you're targeting him. So for me, my top 5 players of all time, by the way, is like Dan 1, Cody 2. Derek and Andy are 3 and 4, kind of go back and forth. And that 5th spot is very contentious. I tend to give it to Will, but I think there's some other people you can consider there. It's funny, Shinks, because I saw Cody on a couple of those before 22 as like best player to never win. I know RHAP did a couple of those podcasts back in the day, like the reality TV wrap-ups. So I agree with you, Giesling. So basically what Giesling is saying is like Dan and Will were able to play from the bottom, play from the middle, play from these positions of adversity, and they were able to play from the top, and they were able to be successful in both, whereas Cody's only done one of them. I think the difference that I want to make clear is like Cody's done it twice, right? So like Derek doing it once, you can credit Derek and say, well, he didn't play from adversity because he had no adversity because he played so dominantly, and that's fair. But seasons are situational, right? And he had all the bros, and the bros kept winning the comps. Like Derek wouldn't, who knows? But like you wouldn't think he'd be able to do that again. Cody did it twice. So I think that's just how Cody plays. Like when you have 2 100-day sample sizes, I think that's enough for me to not penalize Cody for playing from the bottom or for never playing from the bottom. Like I don't think it's fair to be like, in order to have Cody higher, he has to play a 3rd season where he sucks ass at the start and then figures it out. I agree with you, Jerry. I just think like the fact that Cody has done it twice makes it different from like a Derek. Derek only doing it once, like who knows how another season would work out. And I think that's, to Chelsea's credit, the most impressive part about Chelsea's game. She's played from a really bad spot, she's played from a really good spot, and she was competent in both. Very strong playing from the bottom. Again, I don't know how to evaluate Will's Big Brother 2 game, Giesling. Traders has no opinion. Oh, it has negative opinion on mine. If you do bad on traders, I think you're an even better player. I'm getting triggered by the stats lingo. Am I misusing it? I never took statistics, to be fair. So, hey, just chill. That's my suggestion. Hey, just go with it. Easy breezy, you know. If Cody's on the bottom, he could win out. I mean, truthfully, being on the bottom, you better be good at comps. And he is. Which is partially why Will is so impressive, because, you know, there's no comps there. I hear you. It's just dominance versus adversity. It's kind of a philosophical thing. I like to see both, but when you've played 2 seasons and never faced adversity, at a certain point, I got to give you credit. I think the biggest argument against Cody is when there was a bit of adversity in Big Brother 22, I think he did quite poorly. He didn't have much adversity, but when he did, he wasn't excellent at figuring it out. And then Tyler kind of imploded, and Cody was fine from there. But, like, the moments, the few moments we saw Cody playing from a tough position, he was a little bit frenetic. He didn't, like, blow up his position or self-sabotage, but I think you'd like to see a little bit more competence. Or not even competence, just, like, strong play. June would be the GOAT if she'd come back. I think if they'd ask her back, I don't think her wanting to go is the problem. Yeah, the 7s is crazy. When I was doing the stats, I'm like, what the fuck, Cody? That's crazy. It's extremely possible, Shinx, but Tyler's a really good competitor. Like, Tyler's really good. And, like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, Cody retained Enzo over Tyler. But that'll do it. That's the stream. A pretty short one. I'm going to go watch the rest of this Knicks game. Basically just celebrate with America because as far as I see, it's not a very competitive game. But, you know, we'll have fun. We'll eat dinner. Just a chill stream. I'll stream one of the 2 days this weekend. You know how I am. So, if, you know, I'm probably not going to stream tomorrow. Whenever I give myself, like, an out, I'm probably not going to do it. The goal is just to try to stream 5 days a week consistently. Right now we're at 4. We need 1 more, so that's the plan. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging. Is Quinn still alive? I haven't rated Quinn in like 2 streams. Maybe just 1 stream. Thanks, Cory. Always fun with lists. Wait, /raid every now and Quinn. All right. Say hi to Quinn. Start reading Mockingjay. This book club, this coming Sunday, is America's final book club for her fantasy book. And then we move on to the one and done Mockingjay book club. So if you're interested, get that done. All right. Peace. See you guys. The rewatch will be posted late tonight. Bye-bye.